The pen slipped in Julian Hale's fingers. For half a second, it hovered above the contract, trembling, the tip catching the boardroom lights like a blade suspended mid-fall. Ava Cross felt the moment before she understood it. The sudden stillness, the way the air tightened, the quiet anticipation of men who believed they were about to witness something inevitable. "Ava," Julian said without looking at her. His voice was low, careful. "This isn't what it looks like." She stood beside the long marble table, spine straight, heels planted, heart pounding so hard it drowned out everything else. "Then explain it," she said, "because from where I'm standing, it looks like you're about to erase me." Across the table, Marjorie Lynn folded her manicured hands, diamonds flashing under the lights. Her smile was soft, civil, deadly. "It's a business decision, nothing personal." Ava's gaze snapped to the projection screen behind them. $50 million, strategic acquisition, marital alliance clause. Her throat closed. Marital what? Julian swallowed. "The investment requires stability." "Say it," Ava demanded. He hesitated, just long enough. "I'll be marrying Elaine Lynn." The words landed like a gunshot. Ava laughed, sharp, disbelieving. "You're joking." No one laughed with her. Elaine sat beside her mother, hands folded tightly in her lap. Her face was pale, her stomach slightly rounded beneath her tailored dress. Ava's breath hitched. "You're engaged," Ava said, turning back to Julian. "To me." Julian's jaw tightened. "I was." Was. Ava turned to Marjorie. "This clause gets removed. Now." Marjorie's eyes softened, like she was indulging a child. "Miss Cross, my daughter's future requires certainty, bloodlines, legacy. Your background complicates that." "I designed half the developments your firm profits from," Ava snapped. "And you did very well," Marjorie said calmly. "But talent doesn't equal permanence." The room murmured. Julian gripped the pen again. "Ava, please. If this deal collapses, my family loses everything." "And I'm what?" she asked quietly. "Acceptable loss?" Julian didn't answer. He signed. The sound of pens scratching paper was unbearable. Something inside Ava cracked, cleanly, silently. No tears, no hysteria, just a sharp, clarifying stillness. She lifted the champagne flute in front of her and hurled it to the floor. Glass exploded. Executives flinched. Someone gasped. Ava didn't blink. "Congratulations," she said softly to Julian. "I hope the money holds you when you wake up alone." She turned and walked out. The elevator doors closed behind her, sealing in the echo of her humiliation. Her reflection stared back, composed, pale, eyes blazing with something colder than grief. Outside, the winter air burned her lungs. 3 years, plans, promises, a future she had trusted someone else to protect. Her phone buzzed. "Julian, please answer. Let me explain." She deleted it. Another memory surfaced, unwanted. 2 weeks earlier, a pregnancy test on the marble sink in Julian's bathroom. Pink lines. Not hers. Her chest tightened, but she didn't cry. Not here. "Ava Cross." The voice came from behind her. She turned. The man standing beneath the streetlight didn't belong there. Early 50s, tall, sharp-featured, dark coat, tailored but worn like armor. His eyes were black and assessing, as if he'd already calculated her worth. "Yes," she said cautiously. "My name is Sampson Seo." She frowned. "Do I know you?" "No," he said, "but I know you." Her fingers curled around her clutch. "If this is about the meeting, I watched the entire thing. You didn't beg. That matters." Her shoulders stiffened. "You should mind your business." "It is my business," Sampson replied. "How?" He stepped closer, presence heavy, controlled. "Julian Hale's father is my brother." The ground tilted. "You're lying." "Estranged," he corrected. 30 years. Ava studied his face. "Why are you telling me this?" "Because they discarded you," Sampson said, and insults like that deserve consequences. She scoffed. I'm not interested in revenge fantasies. This isn't fantasy, Sampson said. It's leverage. He handed her a card. Black, minimal, no logo, just a number. Marry me, Sampson said. Her breath caught. What? A legal arrangement, he continued evenly. My name, my protection, my influence. She stared at him. You're insane. Possibly, he said, but I'm effective. And why would I do that? Because tomorrow, he said quietly, your former fiancé will wake up celebrated, and you'll wake up erased. Ava's jaw clenched. With me, Sampson added, they'll never look at you as disposable again. She searched his face for mockery, found none. What do you get? She asked. His expression hardened. Justice. A black car pulled up behind him. 24 hours, Sampson said, stepping back. After that, the door closes. The car disappeared into traffic. Ava stood frozen, heart racing, not with fear, with possibility. If this story has already hooked you, tap like right now. It tells the algorithm to keep pushing stories like this to you. And comment below, would you take the deal? Ava slipped the card into her pocket. She didn't know yet that saying yes would drag her into a world far darker than betrayal. She only knew one thing. She would never be powerless again. Ava Cross did not sleep. She lay on her couch, fully dressed, lights off, the city breathing through the windows while her thoughts chased each other in violent circles. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw Julian's hand signing that contract, saw the way he hadn't even looked at her, saw the faint curve beneath Elaine Lynn's dress that answered every question he'd never had the courage to speak aloud. Her phone buzzed again. Julian, please talk to me. I didn't want it to happen like this. She turned the phone face down. At dawn, Ava showered, dressed in black, and went to work. Work had always been her refuge. Today, it felt like hostile territory. The lobby went quiet when she stepped in. Conversations dipped. Someone pretended to check their phone. Her assistant avoided eye contact entirely. Ava walked into her office and dropped her bag, pulse steady, jaw tight. 10 minutes later, Nadia, her business partner, closed the door behind her and leaned against it. Okay, Nadia said carefully. Before you say anything, I know. Ava didn't look up. Know what? That Harrington Holdings pulled your name from the downtown redevelopment. Ava's fingers stilled on her tablet. Already? This morning, Nadia said. No explanation, just gone. Ava let out a slow breath. So this was how it started. Not loudly, efficiently. By noon, 2 clients postponed meetings. By 3, 1 canceled outright. Not because Ava lacked talent, because she lacked backing. Legacy, bloodlines, the invisible currency she had never been born with. She left early. That evening, Ava stood by her window again. The city stretched beneath her like a challenge. Sampson Seo's card lay on the counter where she'd placed it hours earlier. 24 hours. She picked it up, turned it over once, then laughed quietly. This is insane. But insanity was pretending she could rebuild alone while Julian's family systematically erased her. She dialed. It rang once. I was wondering when you'd call, Sampson said calmly. I haven't agreed to anything, Ava snapped. I have questions. Good, he replied. Come have dinner with me. Tonight? Yes. Where? I'll send a car. The line went dead before she could object. 40 minutes later, a black sedan waited downstairs. The restaurant was discreet. No sign, no crowd, security posted where only trained eyes would notice. The hostess bowed slightly when she saw Sampson and led them to a private room without asking a name. Sampson rose when Ava entered. You didn't run, he observed. I don't run, she said, sitting across from him. I verify. His mouth curved faintly. Then let's verify. The food arrived untouched as Ava folded her hands. Why me? Sampson didn't answer immediately. He studied her like a chessboard. Because you were loyal, he said finally. Because you were publicly humiliated. And because you didn't beg. That's not enough, Ava said sharply. No, it's not, he agreed. It's not. He leaned forward slightly. My brother believes love is weakness, so does his son. This marriage proves otherwise. So this is revenge, Ava said. Yes, Sampson replied without flinching, and strategy. I won't be traded again. I won't jump from one cage into another. Sampson's gaze sharpened. I'm not offering ownership. I'm offering armor. And the cost? My name, public appearances, and time. Her eyes narrowed. What about control? Yours, he said, always. She studied him. Your reputation isn't clean. No, he said evenly. It's effective. You're connected to organized crime. Yes. No denial. No justification. A shiver slid down her spine. And you expect me to believe I won't be involved? You won't, Sampson said. I keep my darkness separate. That's convenient. That's survival. Silence stretched. Why haven't you married before? Ava asked suddenly. Sampson looked away, just briefly. Because love makes people sloppy. And this won't? No, this will make us deliberate. Her phone buzzed again on the table. Julian. She didn't look at it. Intimacy? She asked. Be honest. Sampson met her eyes. Nothing without consent. Ever. And children? No, he said immediately. Ava swallowed. Another decision Julian had made without her. Prenup, she said. Ironclad. Already drafted, Sampson replied. Your lawyer reviews it first. Her pulse jumped. You move fast. I don't like uncertainty. Ava stood. I need one night. You have it, he said. Tomorrow, the door closes. She hesitated. If I say yes, what happens? We go to the courthouse, quietly. Her heart pounded. And Julian? Sampson's eyes darkened. He'll feel very small. That night, Julian showed up at her apartment. She opened the door, took one look at his face, and felt nothing. Ava, he breathed, please. Say it, she said flatly. I didn't want this, he insisted. My father. You signed, she cut in. That's where the story ends. I'll fix it, he said desperately. No, she replied. You won't. I love you, he whispered. Ava studied him. You loved the version of me that didn't challenge you. He flinched. She closed the door. At dawn, Ava stood on the courthouse steps, coat pulled tight, spine straight. Sampson waited near the entrance, immaculate and unreadable. You came, he said. I'm not doing this for love, Ava replied. Good, he said. Neither am I. Inside, the ceremony was brief, legal, clean. When asked for consent, Ava didn't hesitate. I do. Sampson followed instantly. The ring was cool against her finger. The kiss was meant to be symbolic, yet lingered half a second too long. Something dangerous sparked. Welcome, Mrs. Seo, Sampson murmured. Ava exhaled. She had just married a stranger. She did not yet know she had married a kingpin, or that the man she thought she was using had been planning this far longer than 24 hours. If you're locked into this story right now, hit subscribe so you don't miss what comes next. And comment below, did Ava make the smartest move of her life or the most dangerous? A prison. That was what unsettled Ava the most. She stood just inside the doorway, heels clicking softly against polished stone floors, taking in the space that now belonged to her as much as it did to Sampson Seo. Floor-to-ceiling windows wrapped the living area, the city laid out below like a living circuit board. The furniture was understated, intentional, nothing flashy, nothing careless. This isn't what I expected, Ava said. Sampson set his coat aside. Most people expect chaos. And you don't have it? I keep it contained. A man stepped forward from near the kitchen, tall and broad-shouldered, eyes alert without being intrusive. This is Harrison, Sampson said, my head of security, and my longest mistake. Harrison smiled faintly. I told him not to say that. Ava blinked. Mistake? He hired me, Harrison said dryly, still regrets it. Sampson's mouth twitched. You'll answer to her now. Harrison straightened. Yes, ma'am. Ava hesitated. Please don't call me that. Understood, Harrison said. But if you need anything, you tell me first. When he left, Sampson gestured down the corridor. Your suite is east, mine is west. Separate locks, cameras only in shared spaces. You planned this, Ava said quietly. Yes. How far ahead? Far enough to know I wouldn't rush you. Something in her chest loosened just a little. That first night, they ate together at the kitchen island. Sampson cooked with practiced ease, sleeves rolled up, movements precise. Ava watched him without trying to hide it. You don't cook like someone who eats out every night. I grew up without money, he replied. Food was control. Julian never learned, she said before she could stop herself. Sampson glanced at her. He never had to. They ate in silence after that. Later, Ava lay awake in a bed that didn't feel foreign. She waited for panic, for regret. Instead, she felt something she hadn't felt in weeks. Stability. The next morning, the headlines hit. Harrington heir weds investor's daughter. Deal finalized. Ava closed the article and dressed for work. By noon, her assistant was pale and breathless. Ava, there are calls waiting. City Council, 2 private developers, and someone from Seoul? Ava frowned. Seoul? The phone rang again.
Mrs. Seo, a smooth voice said, we'd like to discuss a mixed-use project in Busan. Ava ended the call and leaned back slowly. That evening, she confronted Sampson in the living room. You said you wouldn't interfere with my work. I haven't, he replied calmly. Then why are people treating me like a gatekeeper? Because they assume access, he said, not because I told them to. I don't want favors, Ava snapped. I want credibility. You have it, Sampson said. They're just noticing now. She exhaled. I don't want to be an extension of you. You're not, he said firmly. You're my equal. The words landed harder than she expected. Days turned into weeks. They appeared together at events, dinners, fundraisers. Ava learned how to stand beside power without shrinking. Sampson never spoke over her, never corrected her, never claimed her achievements. At night, they talked about architecture, about grief. Sampson told her about his sister, gone too young, about the brother who took everything and called it inheritance. Ava told him about her mother's illness, about how Julian had promised to stay, then slowly retreated when things became inconvenient. One night, rain streaked the windows as Ava asked quietly, Have you ever killed someone? Sampson didn't hesitate. Yes. Her breath caught. Why? They tried to kill me first. Do you regret it? I regret that it was necessary, he said. Silence stretched. Are you afraid of me now? She shook her head. No, but I understand you better. That night, Ava crossed the hall to his suite. She knocked once. Sampson opened the door immediately, like he'd been waiting. This isn't part of the agreement, she said. I know. He didn't touch her until she reached for him first. The kiss was slow, questioning. When she pulled back, he didn't follow. Your choice, he murmured. She kissed him again. Later, as she lay beside him, Ava realized something terrifying. She trusted him. The gala invitation arrived the next morning. Black tie, high profile. The Harringtons would be there. They didn't think I'd return, Sampson said, reading it. You're going. With you. That night, Ava's phone rang from an unknown number. She answered. Ava Cross? Marjorie Lynn said coolly. I see you've remarried. Ava smiled faintly. I see you're still watching. You've aligned yourself with a dangerous man. I married one, Ava replied. A pause. Be careful. Sampson Seo doesn't protect people. He uses them. Ava's voice was calm. Then be careful how you speak to me. She hung up. In the kitchen, Sampson watched her closely. Who was that? Someone trying to scare me. And did it work? No, Ava said, but it confirmed something. What? That they're afraid.
Sampson's smile was slow and sharp. Good. What Ava didn't know, what no one had told her, was that the gala wasn't just a reunion, it was bait, and Sampson Seo had been planning his return for years. Ava had stepped into a war older than her heartbreak, and by choosing him, she had unknowingly chosen a side. If you're still glued to this story, tap like now. It helps push stories like this to more viewers. And comment below, do you think Ava is ready for the war she just entered?
The gala felt like a calculated spectacle. Ava sensed it the moment the car slowed at the entrance, the way security tightened, the way cameras angled just a fraction longer towards Sampson Seo's door. When he stepped out, the murmurs rippled like a wave. When Ava followed, the wave broke. Flashes erupted. She straightened her spine and took Sampson's arm, not because she needed balance, but because she wanted the message to be unmistakable. Inside, crystal chandeliers threw light across marble floors and silk gowns. Old money clustered near the bar. New money circled the donors list. Power recognized power, and tonight it recognized Sampson. Ava felt eyes slide over her, assessing, recalibrating. She didn't flinch. "You don't owe anyone a performance," Sampson murmured. "I know, but I'm giving one anyway." Then she saw Julian. He stood near the far wall, glass in hand, his arms stiff around Elaine. The sight of Ava stopped him cold. His face drained as if someone had pulled the plug on him. Elaine noticed a beat later. Her smile faltered. Marjorie Lynn turned last. Her eyes sharpened the instant they landed on Sampson, and then on Ava at his side. The room seemed to inhale. "Ava," Julian said hoarsely as he approached, breaking away from Elaine. "I need to talk." Ava turned slowly. "You're interrupting." "I didn't know. About him. About you marrying him." "You knew enough," Sampson said smoothly. Julian bristled. "This doesn't concern you." Sampson smiled faintly. "Everything concerning my wife concerns me." Ava met Julian's gaze. "What do you want?" "I ended it," Julian said quickly. "With Elaine. I told my father no. I chose you." Elaine gasped. "Julian!" "It's done," he snapped, then looked back at Ava. "We can fix this." Ava studied him, feeling only distance. "No, you tried to fix your future by erasing me." His shoulders slumped. "I loved you. You loved the idea that I'd wait. I didn't." Marjorie stepped forward, voice cool. "You think marrying into danger elevates you?" Ava leaned closer, her tone calm and lethal. "No, I think it exposes how little you ever understood about power." The silence around them was complete. Sampson lifted his glass. "Shall we circulate?" They walked away together, leaving Julian frozen and Elaine blinking back tears. Later, a soft chime echoed through the room. Attention turned to the stage. Sampson was invited up. "Thank you for being here," he began, voice steady. "Tonight's contributions will fund housing initiatives across multiple cities." Applause swelled. "And," he continued, "I'm pleased to announce a new partnership." Ava's pulse ticked up. "The downtown redevelopment previously overseen by Harrington Holdings will proceed under new leadership." Murmurs erupted. "Cross and Vale Architecture will lead the project." Ava kept her face composed as the room burst into applause. Marjorie's expression went rigid. Julian stared as if the floor had shifted under him. Sampson turned and extended his hand. "My wife will oversee the work." The applause grew louder. Later, on the balcony, Ava finally exhaled. "You planned that."
"Yes. You didn't tell me." "I wanted it clean," he said. "No doubt." She laughed softly. "You turned my work into a weapon." "I amplified it," Sampson corrected. A presence shifted behind them. "Sir," Harrison said quietly, "we need to move." Sampson's jaw tightened. Now? Yes. As they headed toward the exit, a man stepped into their path, tall, broad, familiar in a way that made Sampson go still. "Brother," the man said with a thin smile. Ava looked between them. "Who is that?" "Gregory Seo." Gregory's gaze slid to Ava. "You married well." Ava met his stare. "I chose well." Gregory chuckled. "Careful, standing beside him puts you close to the edge." Sampson's hand tightened around Ava's. "Leave." "This isn't over," Gregory said softly. "It never is." They drove away in silence. At home, Ava poured a drink she didn't really want. "They'll come for me," she said. "They'll try," Sampson replied. She turned to him. "Tell me everything." He hesitated. "That pause," Ava said quietly, "that's what scares me." "My brother doesn't lose," Sampson said at last. "He delays. He uses people." "And you?" Ava asked. "I end things." She swallowed. "Did you marry me to hurt him?" "Yes," he said honestly, "and to protect you." The truth cut both ways. "If I walk away," Ava asked, "you can, tonight. And if I stay, then we finish it." Ava stared at the city lights, then lifted her glass. "Then we finish it." If this shift just changed how you see everything, tap subscribe so you don't miss what happens next, and comment below. Would you stay and fight, or walk away while you still can? Ava didn't sleep. The city glowed beyond the windows, indifferent and endless, while the words, "Then we finish it," echoed in her head like a promise she wasn't sure she could take back. She stood in the kitchen long after midnight, barefoot against cold stone, replaying Gregory Seo's smile. Not anger, not rage, amusement, as if the gala had been nothing more than entertainment. Behind her, a door opened quietly. "You should try to rest," Sampson said. Ava didn't turn. "You ever notice how people say that when they know you won't?" "Yes," he replied. "It's how they pretend control still exists." She faced him then. "How far does this war go?" Sampson studied her for a long moment. "Farther than you'd like." "Tell me anyway." "My brother doesn't attack directly," he said. "He corrodes, he waits, he takes things apart from the inside." Ava folded her arms. "Including people." "Yes." Before she could respond, Harrison appeared at the edge of the room, expression tight. "Sir, we've got movement." Sampson straightened. "Where?" "Hale." Ava's stomach dropped. "Julian?" Harrison nodded once. "Someone's been tailing him since the gala. We lost visual 20 minutes ago." Ava's chest tightened. "They're using him." "Yes," Sampson said. "Gregory knows weakness when he sees it." Ava shook her head. "I want nothing to do with Julian." "That won't matter," Sampson replied quietly. "He's a message." The screens in the private office flickered on. Grainy footage. An alley. Julian walking alone, hunched, distracted. Then a figure stepped into frame behind him. Then another. Ava's heart slammed. "Turn it back." The feed cut to black. Her breath came shallow. "What happens now?" Sampson turned to Harrison. "Find him, quietly." Harrison nodded and disappeared. Ava rounded on Sampson. "You knew this was coming." "Yes." "And you still brought me into it?" "Yes." The honesty stung worse than a lie. "Then don't protect me," Ava said suddenly. "Use me." Sampson's eyes snapped to hers. "No." "I'm already part of this," she shot back. "I won't hide while people get hurt around me." "You think walking into danger makes you strong," he said tightly. "It makes you vulnerable." "Then teach me," Ava said, "or stop calling me your equal." Silence stretched between them. Finally, Sampson exhaled and walked to a locked drawer. He pulled out a slim black folder and set it on the desk. "What's that?" Ava asked. "The truth," he said. "The part I hoped you'd never have to see." She opened it and felt the air leave her lungs. Names, accounts, judges, shipping routes, politicians, deaths disguised as accidents, entire cities mapped like chessboards. "This is," her voice broke, "this is an empire." "Yes," Sampson said, "and Gregory wants it all."
Ava looked up slowly. And I'm not just leverage. No, Sampson said. Your legitimacy. The word hit harder than leverage ever could. You married me to make yourself untouchable, she whispered. I married you because you're incorruptible, he said, because you don't bend. That doesn't make me safe, Ava said. It makes you dangerous, he replied. The next morning, the headlines detonated. Harrington Air reported missing after charity gala. Ava stared at the screen, chest tight. Elaine Lynn appeared, eyes red. If anyone has information, please. Ava turned off the TV. He's alive. For now. Her phone rang. Unknown number. Sampson reached for it, but Ava answered first. Ava Cross. Gregory Seo's voice purred. Or should I say, Mrs. Seo. Her spine stiffened. Where is Julian? Safe, Gregory said lightly, as long as you cooperate. Ava met Sampson's gaze. What do you want? You. Alone. Tonight. Sampson shook his head sharply. If you don't come, Gregory continued, Julian stops being useful. Ava's jaw clenched. Send the location. The line went dead. No, Sampson said immediately. Absolutely not. He'll kill him, Ava replied, and then he'll come for me anyway. You think walking into his hands is smart? Ava asked. I think it buys time and control. Sampson's eyes burned. You are not expendable. Neither is Julian, Ava said quietly. Not to me. Silence. Then Sampson said, 1 hour. Harrison will be watching. If anything goes wrong, I burn everything. That's not reassuring, Ava said. It should be. The warehouse smelled of oil and rust. Gregory waited inside, smiling like a man attending a private joke. Ava, Gregory said warmly, you really are impressive. Where is he? She demanded. Gregory gestured. Julian sat tied to a chair, bruised but breathing. Ava's knees nearly gave. You see, Gregory said, circling her, you're more valuable than you think. Let him go, Ava said. I'm here. Gregory leaned in. Tell my brother to hand over the ledger. Ava smiled faintly. What? Gregory frowned. He won't, Ava said, because I already gave it to the authorities. The smile vanished. You're lying. Sirens wailed in the distance. Gregory lunged. If your heart just dropped, tap like right now. It tells the algorithm you want more high-stakes stories like this. And comment below, did Ava just outsmart a Mafia king or seal her fate?
Darkness swallowed the warehouse. Ava's heart slammed so hard it felt like it might crack her ribs. Someone shouted. Metal scraped. Footsteps thundered across concrete. Then the lights snapped back on. Gregory Seo lay face down on the floor, blood trickling from a cut at his hairline. 2 men in tactical black had him pinned before he could rise. Julian was already being untied, coughing, shaking. Ava stood frozen in the center of it all. Sampson Seo stepped out of the shadows. You were always predictable, brother, he said calmly. Gregory laughed weakly. You planned this. Yes, Sampson replied, just not the way you think. Police sirens screamed closer now, deafening. Gregory twisted his head to look at Ava. You clever little thing. You think this ends me? Ava met his gaze, steady despite the chaos. No, I think it stops you. Gregory smiled, blood on his teeth. There's no stopping men like us. Sampson crouched beside him. There is when your allies start saving themselves. The police stormed in seconds later. Shouts, commands, handcuffs snapped shut around Gregory's wrists. As officers swarmed the warehouse, Sampson turned to Ava. His face was unreadable. You lied, he said quietly. I told the truth, just not the timing. He studied her for a long moment, then nodded once. Well played. Julian stumbled toward Ava, eyes wild. You saved me. She took a step back. No, I closed a chapter. Officers led Gregory past them. He paused, meeting Sampson's eyes. You think this is victory? Gregory said softly. You've only exposed yourself. Sampson leaned close. That was the point. Gregory laughed as he was dragged away.
The aftermath was brutal. News outlets detonated with revelations. Corruption, offshore accounts, political resignations, judges stepping down for health reasons. The ledger Ava had leaked cracked open a world most people never knew existed. Sampson vanished from public view for days. Ava stayed busy, too busy. Interviews, emergency meetings, calls from clients who suddenly spoke to her with reverence instead of dismissal. At night, she lay alone in the east wing, staring at the ceiling. When Sampson finally returned, it was near dawn. She found him on the balcony, city lights bleeding into the horizon. "You disappeared," Ava said. "I had to clean up," he replied. "Did you?" He looked at her then, really looked. "You changed the board." "So did you," she said. "You knew I'd use the ledger." "Yes," he admitted. "I just didn't know how well." Silence settled between them. "Am I still your shield?" Ava asked quietly. Sampson shook his head. "No, you're the reason I survived this." Her breath caught. "That doesn't sound like a partnership." "It is, just not the one I planned." She crossed her arms. "Then tell me the rest. No more half-truths." He hesitated, then spoke. "Gregory's arrest destabilized everything. There's a vacuum now. And people don't like vacuums." "No," Sampson agreed. "They fill them with blood." Ava studied him. "So what happens next?" "Next," Sampson said, "I dismantle what's left." "And me?" "You choose." Her phone buzzed. "Julian." She stared at it, then declined the call. "I choose forward," Ava said. Sampson exhaled slowly, like a man who hadn't realized he'd been holding his breath. "Then we move." Weeks passed. Gregory's empire collapsed publicly. Quietly, something else took its place. Leaner, cleaner, invisible. Ava's firm exploded with opportunity, not because of Sampson's name anymore, but because people trusted her. One evening, as they shared dinner, Ava asked, "Do you regret marrying me?" Sampson considered it. "No. Even though I burned your brother's world down?" "Especially because you did," he said. She smiled faintly. "You didn't plan for me to be this dangerous." "No," he admitted. "I planned for you to be protected. And now?" "And now," he said, "I wonder if I ever was." The words lingered between them. Then Harrison stepped in, expression tight but controlled. "We have a problem," he said. Sampson sighed. "Of course we do." "A warrant," he said. "Not for you." Ava's pulse jumped. "For who?" "For Mrs. Seo." Silence slammed down. "What?" Ava said sharply. Harrison met her eyes. "Gregory's last move. He named you." Sampson's face went cold. "On what grounds?" "Conspiracy," Harrison said. "Accessory." Ava laughed once. "That won't stick." "It doesn't have to," Harrison replied. "It just has to slow you down." Sampson turned to Ava. "We can run." She immediately shook her head. "No, I won't." "This isn't a courtroom negotiation," he said. "I know. It's a test." Sampson stared at her. "You could lose everything." Ava met his gaze. "So could you. But you taught me something." "What?" "That power only works if you're willing to stand in the open." The next morning, Ava walked into the courthouse surrounded by cameras. She didn't hide. She didn't flinch. Sampson watched from a distance, hands clenched, jaw tight. As Ava was led inside, she glanced back once. Their eyes met. And in that look, something shifted. Not protection, not leverage, trust. If you're still watching right now, tap like. It tells me you want stories that don't pull their punches. And comment below. Do you think Ava will beat the charges, or is this the beginning of something worse? The courthouse smelled like polish and nerves. Ava walked through the revolving doors with her shoulders back, cameras snapping, voices calling her name. She didn't answer. She didn't need to. The silence unsettled them more than any denial could have. Inside, the air cooled. Marble floors amplified every step, as if the building itself were listening. Sampson stood near the columns, out of reach of the press. He watched without moving, a still point in the chaos. Harrison was beside him, eyes tracking exits, faces, angles.
She's early, Harrison murmured. He's always is, Sampson replied. Ava took her seat beside her attorney, fingers laced calmly on the table. The prosecutor entered moments later, flanked by aides carrying boxes. Too many boxes. The message was obvious. Overwhelmed first, prove later. The judge called the room to order. The charges were read. Conspiracy, accessory, obstruction. Ava listened without reaction. She had expected worse. When the prosecutor stood, his tone was smooth, rehearsed. Mrs. Seo did not simply benefit from her husband's criminal enterprise. She enabled it. She leveraged her position to destabilize rival interests and conceal evidence. Ava's attorney rose. Objection, speculation. Sustained, the judge said. Proceed carefully. The prosecutor smiled thinly and clicked a remote. Screens lit up with emails, timestamps, call logs, carefully curated, carefully misleading. Ava leaned back slightly and whispered to her attorney. They're threading proximity into intent. Her attorney nodded. We'll dismantle it. Across the room, Sampson's jaw tightened. Harrison leaned in. It's not clean. No, it's bait. At recess, Ava stood by the window overlooking the plaza. Her attorney stepped aside to take a call. Ava felt it before she heard it. The subtle shift, the way the air tightened again. A woman approached, heels quiet on marble, elegant, composed, familiar in the way storms are familiar just before they break. Elaine Lynn. I didn't think you'd come, Ava said, without turning. Elaine stopped beside her. I didn't think I would either. Silence stretched between them. They're using you, Elaine said softly. Gregory left instructions. Ava turned. You knew? Elaine swallowed. I found documents. Emails. He planned to frame you if anything went wrong. Why tell me? Elaine's smile was brittle. Because I learned what it feels like to be traded. Ava studied her for a long moment, then nodded once. If you're lying. I'm not, Elaine said quickly, and I can prove it. Back in the courtroom, the prosecutor called his next witness. Elaine Lynn. A murmur rippled through the room. Elaine took the stand, hands steady despite the tremor in her breath. The prosecutor guided her carefully, painting a picture of whispered conversations, proximity, implication. Then Ava's attorney stood. Miss Lynn, he said gently, did Gregory Seo ever contact you directly? Elaine hesitated, then nodded. Yes. Did he provide you with documents? Yes. The courtroom stilled. What did those documents contain? The attorney asked. Elaine reached into her bag and produced a flash drive. Instructions, contingencies, including how to implicate Mrs. Seo. The prosecutor's face tightened. Objection. Overruled, the judge said. Proceed. Elaine's voice steadied. He wrote that Ava Seo was the acceptable face, someone the public would believe. A collective inhale swept the room. Across the aisle, Sampson closed his eyes briefly. Not relief, recognition. The prosecutor regrouped, pressing harder, faster. You expect us to believe this woman is innocent while surrounded by criminals? Ava's attorney didn't rise. Ava did. Permission to address the court, she said calmly. The judge studied her. Granted. Ava stepped forward, voice clear. I did not ask for protection. I demanded transparency. When I saw evidence of crimes, I didn't hide it. I exposed it. I didn't profit from corruption. I detonated it. The prosecutor scoffed. And your husband? Ava didn't look at Sampson. Is not on trial. The judge nodded, slowly. Indeed. The gavel struck. Charges were dismissed without prejudice. The case collapsed like a scaffold pulled from the wrong place. Outside, the press surged. Ava paused at the top of the steps. I won't answer questions today, she said, but I will say this. Power fears daylight. She walked away. That night, the penthouse was quiet in a way that felt earned. Ava poured water. Sampson leaned against the counter, studying her like a puzzle he hadn't known he wanted solved. You turned a trap into a confession, Sampson said. You taught me how predators think. I just listened.
Silence settled. Then Sampson said, "There's something you still don't know." Ava set the glass down. "Say it." "Gregory didn't act alone," Sampson said. "There's a council, old, regional. They tolerated him. They won't tolerate chaos." Ava's pulse steadied. "So they'll come for you." "For us," he corrected. Harrison appeared at the doorway, face grim. "They've made contact." Sampson exhaled. "Of course they have." Ava looked between them. "What do they want?" "To meet, and to decide whether we're a problem or an asset." Ava smiled faintly. "Let me guess. Neutral ground." "Soul," Harrison said. Sampson watched Ava closely. "You don't have to come." She met his gaze. "You stopped deciding that for me a long time ago." He nodded once. "Then we go together." Midway through this story, if you're still locked in, tap subscribe now so you don't miss the ending, and hit like if you enjoy stories where the woman doesn't flinch when power looks back. On the flight east, Ava stared out at the clouds and said quietly, "You know the twist, right?" Sampson glanced at her. "Which one?" "That they think they're meeting you, but they're actually meeting me." Sampson smiled, slow, sharp, proud. "I was hoping you'd say that." What neither of them knew was that the council had already decided, not whether Ava Seo was dangerous, but how useful she could be.
Soul unfolded beneath them like a living machine, cold, efficient, ancient in ways that refused to be softened by glass towers and neon light. Ava stepped out of the car first, not because Sampson let her, because she chose to. The building they entered had no signage, no visible security, no pretense of legitimacy. It didn't need any. Power rarely announced itself. Inside, the room was circular. 12 men, different ages, different faces. One thing in common, stillness, the kind that came from never having to prove anything. Sampson felt it then. This wasn't his meeting. This was hers. "Ava Seo," the man at the center said in Korean. "Welcome." Sampson's eyes flicked to her sharply. Ava didn't react. "You know who we are," the man continued. "You know why you're here." "Yes," Ava replied calmly. "You want to decide whether I'm a liability." A murmur rippled around the table. "Or an asset," another voice said. Ava inclined her head. "I prefer inevitable." Silence. Sampson's pulse ticked once. He had walked into wars with less tension than this room held. "You exposed Gregory," the central man said. "That was disruptive." "He was careless," Ava replied. "You tolerated him because he was predictable." "And you?" the man asked. "What are you?" Ava met his gaze. "Unpredictable." One of the men laughed softly. "Bold." "No," Ava said. "Prepared." She gestured slightly. Screens lit up around the room. Not evidence, not threats. Architecture. Ports, transportation corridors, redevelopment zones, legal fronts. Economic leverage mapped with surgical precision. Sampson stared. "These are not plans," one man said slowly. "These are restructures." "Yes," Ava replied. "Crime bleeds money when it's sloppy. You've been bleeding." The room shifted. "You married Sampson Seo to gain proximity," the central man said. "Yes," Ava answered. Sampson's jaw tightened. "You used his war to dismantle a rival," another added. "Yes. And you leaked the ledger knowing it would collapse half the existing structure," the first man continued. "Yes." Sampson turned to her. "You knew this would reach them." "I hoped it would," Ava said quietly. "Hope isn't strategy. Planning is." The men exchanged looks. "You're not afraid," one observed. "I'm not," Ava said, "because you won't kill me." A pause. "And why is that?" the central man asked. Ava smiled. Not sharp, not cold, certain. "Because I just showed you how to make more money cleanly than you ever did dirty." Silence fell. Thick, heavy, reverent. Sampson exhaled slowly. This was the twist.
Not that Ava had adapted to power, but that she had outgrown it. The central man leaned back. "You would replace us?" "No," Ava said. "I would modernize you." A faint smile tugged at his lips. "And Sampson?" Ava glanced at him then, just once. "He survives." Sampson felt something give way inside his chest. The meeting ended without threats, without handshakes. That was how Ava knew she had won. On the flight back, Sampson finally broke the silence. "You orchestrated this from the courthouse," he said. "No," Ava replied, "from the boardroom, the day Julian signed." He closed his eyes briefly. "You married me knowing this was possible." "Yes." "And if he'd refused?" Ava met his gaze. "I would have walked alone." He studied her, then laughed, low, stunned, unafraid. "I thought I was protecting you." "You were," Ava said, "until I didn't need it anymore." Back in New York, the city felt different, smaller, less threatening. Weeks passed. The charges never resurfaced. The council dissolved quietly into advisory roles. Sampson dismantled what remained of Gregory's network, not with blood, but with contracts. Ava's firm became untouchable. One night, standing at the window, Sampson asked, "Do you love me?" Ava didn't answer immediately. "I didn't plan to," Ava said. "I planned to survive." "And now?" he asked. "And now," Ava said, turning to him, "I choose." He reached for her hand, not to claim, to ask. She let him. Somewhere across the city, Julian watched their faces on a screen and finally understood what he had lost. Not a woman, an empire. Ava leaned into Sampson and whispered, "You know the irony?" "What?" "They thought I married you for protection." Sampson smiled faintly. "And instead?" "I married you because you were the only man strong enough to stand beside me once I became this." He kissed her, not like a deal, like a decision. If you stayed till the very end, tap like right now. It tells the algorithm this story earned your time. Subscribe for more high-stakes stories where women don't beg for power, they take it. And comment below.